Hello everyone. I am Dr. Sharad Kumar, Assistant Professor, Department of Wildlife Sciences, Aligarh Muslim University. Soil without which much of the food and fiber we consume cannot be grown is obviously one of nature's crucial validation without which human life cannot exist and flourish on earth. Yet, human activities have been degrading the soil, which is not good for current and future generation. In this lecture, I shall be discussing the various causes of soil pollution, its impact and measures to control the soil pollution. Let's first understand what is soil. So soil is the upper layer of the earth crust transformed by the weathering and physical, chemical and biological processes. It is composed of minerals, particles, organic matter, water, air and living organisms organized in genetic soil horizons. According to United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization, soil pollution refers to the presence of a chemical or substance out of place and oblique or present at a higher than normal concentrations that has adverse effect on any non-targeted organism. Majority of soil pollutants have anthropogenic origins. Some contaminants can occur naturally in soil as components of mineral and can be toxic at higher concentration. Soil pollution often cannot be directly assessed or visually perceived, making it a hidden danger. Industrialization, wars, mining, and intensification of agriculture, etc., have left a legacy of contaminated soil around the world. Since urban expansion, soil has been used as a sink for dumping solid and liquid wastes. Soil pollution is an alarming issue. It has been identified as the third most important threat to soil functions in Europe and Eurasia, fourth in North Africa, fifth in Asia, seventh in the Northwest Pacific, eighth in North America, and ninth in Sub-Saharan Africa and Latin America. International Soil Reference and Information Center and United Nations Environmental Program estimated that 20 million hectare land had been affected by the soil pollution. Based on nature of origin of pollutants, soil pollution can be divided into point source pollution and diffuse pollution. Point source pollution. Soil pollution can be caused by a specific event or a series of events within a particular area in which contaminants are released to the soil, and the source and identity of the pollution is easily identified. This type of pollution is known as point source pollution. Example includes former factory sites, inadequate waste and wastewater disposal, uncontrolled landfills, excessive application of agrochemicals, oil spills, etc. Activities such as mining and smelting that are carried out using poor environmental standards are also source of contamination with heavy metals in many regions of the world. Point source pollution is very common in urban areas. In cities, soil near roads have high level of heavy metals, polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons and other pollutants. Diffuse pollution. Diffuse pollution is the pollution that is spread over very wide areas, accumulates in soil and does not have a single or easily identified source. Diffuse pollution occurs where emission, transformation and dilution of contaminants in other media have occurred prior to their transfer to soil. Diffuse pollution involves transport of pollutants by air, soil, water systems. Examples of diffuse water pollutions are numerous and can include source from nuclear power and weapon activities, uncontrolled waste disposals and contaminated effluents released in and near catchments, land application of sewage sludge, the agriculture use of pesticides and fertilizers, which also add heavy metals, persistent organic pollutants, excess nutrients, and agrochemicals that are transported downstream by surface runoff, flood events, atmospheric transport and deposition, and soil erosion. Pesticides can reach the soil through the direct application, spills, air, and water. The pesticides in the atmosphere can spread over the wide areas through air and deposit on topsoil with rainwater. Similarly, pesticides in water can reach soil through irrigation facilities or irrigation activities. In addition to soil, they are also affecting water and air. Sources of soil pollutants. Sources of soil pollutants can be natural or anthropogenic. Natural sources. Several parent materials are natural source of certain heavy metals and other elements, such as radionuclides, and these can pose a risk to the environment and human health at elevated concentration. Natural events such as volcanic eruptions or forest fires can cause soil pollution when many toxic elements are released into the environment. For example, arsenic contamination is one of the major environmental problems around the world, and it is one of the major pollutant of the soil. Natural source of arsenic include volcanic release and weathering of the arsenic containing minerals and ores. Anthropogenic sources. The main anthropogenic sources of soil pollution are the chemicals used in or produced as byproduct of industrial activities, domestic and municipal wastes, including wastewater, agrochemicals, and petroleum derived products. These chemicals are released to the environment accidentally, for example, from oil spills or leaching from landfills, or intensely, as is the case with the use of fertilizers and pesticides, irrigation with untreated wastewater, or land application of sewage sludge. The anthropogenic pollutants reach directly into the soil or indirectly by the medium of atmosphere and water. For example, contaminants from atmosphere can reach the soil through the acid rain and deposition of contaminated dust on the top soil. Let's discuss the anthropogenic sources of pollutants one by one. Industrial activities. Industrial activities release pollutant to the atmosphere, water, and soil. Gaseous pollutants and radionuclides are released to the atmosphere and can enter the soil directly through acid rain or atmospheric deposition. Former industrial land can be polluted by incorrect chemical storage or direct discharge of waste into the soil. Heavy metals from anthropogenic activities are also frequent in industrial sites and can arise from dust and spillages of raw material, waste, final products, fuel, ash, and fires. Salinization, another major threat to global soil, affect many soil which are close to certain industrial activities, mainly those associated with chlor-alkali, textiles, glass, rubber production, animal hide processing, and leather tanning, metal processing, pharmaceuticals, oil and gas drilling, pigment manufacture, ceramic manufacture, and soap and detergent production. Mining. Mining has had a major impact on soil, water, and biota since ancient times. Metal smelting to separate minerals has introduced many pollutants into the soil. Mining and smelting facilities release huge quantities of heavy metals and other toxic elements to the environment. These persist for long period long after the end of these activities. Toxic mining wastes are stocked up in tailings, mainly formed by fine particles that can have different concentration of heavy metals. These polluted particles can disperse by wind and water erosion, sometimes reaching agricultural soils. The use of phosphate rocks, which are naturally rich in radioactivity in the production of fertilizers, generates a byproduct called phosphogypsum, which mainly maintain nearly 80% of its original radioactivity. Significant point source soil pollution occur from soil and gas extraction due to spill of crude oil and brines. Brines have high salinity levels and can also contain toxic trace element and naturally occurring radioactive materials. Urban and transport infrastructures. The widespread development of infrastructure such as housing, roads, and railways has considerably contributed to environmental degradation. Their more evident negative impact on soil are soil sealing and land consumption. Apart from these known soil threats, another major impact of infrastructure activities is the entry of various soil pollutants in soil. Despite its being a major threat, soil pollution from infrastructure activities has received very minor consideration in terms of planning and impact assessment of the urban and transport infrastructure projects developing in various parts of the world. Activities linked to transportation in and around urban center constitute one of the main source of soil pollution, not only because of the emission from internal combustion engines that reach soil at more than 100-meter distance by atmospheric deposition and petrol spills, but also from the activities and the changes that result from them as a whole. Spillage generated by traffic during rainfall events and runoff, which may be significant if the drainage system is not well maintained, may translocate particles rich in heavy metals from the corrosion of metal vehicles parts, tires, and pavement abrasion, and other pollutants such as polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, rubber, and plastic derived compounds. A major legacy source of soil pollution associated with transport is lead contamination of soil from leaded gasoline. Municipal waste disposal by landfills, illegal or not, and untreated wastewater release into the environment are important source of heavy metals, poorly biodegradable organic compound and other pollutants which enter the soil. Many household chemicals, particularly those used in bulk quantities such as the detergents and personal care products, also end up as sanitary sewage. Biosolids generated from municipal waste water treatment can be a major sink for many PCPs, and their land application can potentially introduce these contaminants into terrestrial and aquatic environment. The historical and continuing use of DDT for control of vector-borne diseases such as malaria has led to pollution of soils in urban and peri-urban areas. Lead-based paint is a major legacy source of lead contamination in urban areas. Soil becomes contaminated when lead-based paint is pulverized into dust or a small particle during renovations or demolition and then enters the environment. Are also a major source of pollution. They are widely used in food packaging, shopping bags, and household items such as toothbrushes and pens, facial cleansers, and many other common items. Plastic have a strong presence in the environment globally. They are in general extremely persistent in the environment and they widely accumulate in oceans and landfills, but also in soil where producing factories are located. Waste and sewage generation and disposal. Municipal waste disposal in landfills and incineration are the two most common ways to manage waste. In both cases, many pollutants such as heavy metals, polyaromatic hydrocarbons, pharmaceuticals compound, personal care products, and their derivative products accumulate in the soil either directly from landfill leachates, and that may be polluting soil and underground water, or by ash fallout from the incinerating plants. Establishments that recycle lead batteries have been identified as major source of soil contamination around the world. The use of sewage sludge to amend soil may be beneficial as it adds organic matter and nutrient to soil. However, if that sewage sludge has not been pre-treated before its application, many pollutants such as heavy metals can accumulate in the soil and eventually enter the food chain. The use of treated wastewater for agriculture irrigation is common in arid and semi-arid regions as solution to water scarcity. Improper use of wastewater can lead to the deposition of heavy metals, salt, PCPs, and pathogens. If they are not completely removed after treatment or in case where wastewater is left untreated, it can lead to the pollution of the soil. Military activities and war. Modern warfare makes use of non-degradable weapons of destruction and of chemicals that can remain in the affected soil for centuries after the end of the conflict. The nature of soil can be considerably modified by warfare activities in both wartime and times of peace due to military activities such as test firing facilities, disposal of munitions, and the lack of care in their manufacturing caused by the urgency of the situation at the time of their production can also contaminate soil for extended period of time. Agriculture and livestock activities. The different agriculture source of soil pollutants include agrochemical sources such as fertilizers and animal manure, herbicides and pesticides. Excessive application of fertilizers and manure or inefficient use of the main nutrients in fertilizers are the main contributors to environmental issue linked to agriculture. Excessive fertilizer uses can lead to soil salinity, heavy matter accumulation, water eutrophication, and accumulation of nitrate, which can be a source of environmental pollution but also a threat to human health. Compost and animal residues are an important source of nutrient. They contribute to achieving a circular economy, reducing the environmental impact of waste and increasing organic matter and nitrogen content in soil while reducing external inputs in agro ecosystems. Despite their potential benefit for agriculture, there is sufficient scientific evidence of the increase in heavy metal contents, pathogens, and veterinary antibiotic residues, which may lead to antimicrobial resistance, bacteria proliferation in soil, amended with livestock manure. Heavy metal in livestock manure mainly come from feed, while antibiotics are utilized to prevent and treat diseases and as growth promotes. Water source for irrigation can also cause soil pollution if they consist of wastewater and urban sewage without efficiently treated. Point source of pollution in agriculture setting include accidental spills of hydrocarbons in agriculture field used as fuel for machines or of agrochemicals during their transportation and storage stages. Livestock farming can also be a source of pollution, especially if waste is not properly managed and disposed of. The urine and feces may contain parasites and medical substances that can persist and accumulate in the soil. Many medical substances are lipolytic and not readily degrade and therefore have the potential to be retained in the sludge or in the manure, which in turn may used as fertilizer. Such retention can greatly affect microorganisms and other beneficial organisms present in the soil and leads to the pollution of the soil. Soil pollution leads to broad spectrum of negative consequences that affect plants, animals, humans, and the ecosystem as a whole. Some important effects of soil pollution are as follows. Contamination of food chain. It is one of the serious impact of soil pollution. Soil pollution leads to contamination of food chain. This figure is providing the principal uptake pathways for the uptake of soil contaminant by plants. If pollutants become the part of the plant tissue and then they enter the food chain and they become the part of food chain and have impact on the various organisms of the food chain. Cheney defined four groups of metal entering food chain when sewage sludge was applied to soil as a function of their danger to human health. Group 1 comprises the element that pose a lower risk of food chain contamination because they are not taken up by plants due to their low solubility in soil, which means negligible uptake and translocation by plants. Group 2 includes elements that are strongly absorbed by soil surfaces, and while they may be absorbed by plants root, they are not readily translocated to the edible tissue and therefore pose minimal risk to human health. These elements could, however, pose a risk to grazing animals or humans if contaminated soil is ingested. Group 3 comprises the elements that are readily taken by plants but that are phytotoxic at concentration that pose little risk to human health. Group 4 consists of elements that are at the higher risk for food chain contamination as they pose risks to human or animal health at plant tissue concentration that are not generally phytotoxic. And this is the group which is the most critical for the contamination of our soil, and it includes arsenic, cadmium, cobalt, molybdenum, cesium, and thallium. Low crop productivity. Excess heavy metals such as arsenic, cadmium, lead, and mercury in soil can also impair plant metabolism and decrease crop productivity, ultimately putting pressure on arable land and pose risks to food security. Once metal enter plant tissue, they may interfere with several metabolic processes, reducing plant growth and causing toxicity and finally plant death. Decrease in germination rates, oxidative damage, lower roots and shoot elongation, and alteration of sugar and protein metabolism were the main effects reported of the high level of heavy metals in the plants. High level of lead, for example, accelerate the production of reactive oxygen in species, causing lipid membrane and chlorophyll damage that further leads to alteration of photosynthetic process and the overall growth of the plant. Cadmium can accumulate in different edible tissues, causing reduction of root, stem, and leaf growth, decreasing net photosynthesis and water use efficiency, and altering nutrient uptake by the plants. Health problems in humans. Another critical impact of soil pollution is the various health problems in human which are caused because of soil pollution. Soil contaminants can exist in all three phases: solid, liquid, and gaseous. Therefore, these contaminants can find their way into the human body by several channels, such as direct contact with the skin or through the ingestion of soil attached to food items or inhalation of contaminated soil dust or water vapor having contaminated dust. The effect of contaminated soil on human health can be short term and long term. The short term effects of human exposure to polluted soil includes headache, nausea and vomiting, coughing, pain in the chest and breathlessness, irritation of the skin and the eyes, fatigue and weakness. A variety of long term elements have been linked to soil pollution. Some such diseases are listed below. For example, exposure to high level of lead can result in permanent damage to nervous system. Children are particularly vulnerable to lead, depression of the central nervous system, damage to vital organs such as the kidney and the liver, higher risk of developing cancer. Effects on the ecosystems. Since volatile contaminants in the soil can be carried away into the atmosphere by winds or can seep into underground water reserves, soil pollution can be direct contributor to the air and the water pollution. It can also contribute to acid rain by releasing huge quantities of ammonia into the atmosphere. Acidic soils are inhospitable to several microorganisms that improve soil texture and help in the decomposition of organic matter. Thus, the negative effect of soil pollution also impacts soil quality and texture. Fertilizer runoff leads to the eutrophication of waterways. Topsoil which is washed away also contributes water pollution by clogging of lakes and increasing turbidity of water, ultimately leading to loss of aquatic species. Ways to control soil pollution. As the soil pollution is affecting humans, plants, animals, and ecosystem, it is necessary that we should implement the measures which can help in the controlling of the soil pollution. Get a better understanding of the soil environment quality in order to properly control and prevent soil pollution. It is necessary that every stakeholder understand the basics of soil environment quality, which can be done by carrying out sensitizations, involvement of local people in soil management, and surveys of soil pollution. We need to develop necessary legislations for soil pollution control. Although efforts are being put in place to ensure soil pollution control, the process ought to be accelerated by drafting the necessary legislations. The existing policies of land management should be revised and updated to include contemporary soil pollution control and prevention measures. Proper management of agricultural lands and adoption of organic farming is critical for prevention of soil pollution. Poor utilization of land is a major concern in the prevention and control of soil pollution. In agricultural land management, ideal soil conservation methods include mechanical and biological control techniques. The biological methods refers to forestry and crop-related soil management. The crop-related control measures include crop rotation, strip cropping, planting along the contours, protector belts, crop residues, and use of organic compost. Planting trees on boundary of agricultural field can also help in controlling soil erosion. Crop rotation or mixed cropping can improve the fertility of the land and decrease the need of external fertilizers, and in turn control soil pollution. Proper solid-based treatment. It is important to dispose of solid waste properly by treatment it before it is released into the environment. Ensure proper investigation of reclaimed land. When dealing with land that is expected to be reclaimed and used for other purposes such as the construction of residential homes or social amenities like schools, as it is in the case of the mining, there is a need to conduct soil investigation and evaluation, reducing chemical fertilizers and pesticide use. Applying fertilizers and manures can reduce the use of chemical fertilizers and pesticides in agriculture sectors and urban green spaces. Biological methods of pest control can also reduce the use of pesticide and thereby minimizing soil pollution. Afforestation and reforestation. Control of land loss and soil erosion can be attempted through restoring forest and grassland as it check wasteland, soil erosion and floods. Awareness. According to Bada Diom, an environment expert, in the end, we will conserve only what we love. We will love only what we understand. And we will understand only what we are taught. Therefore, awareness creation at mass level is essential to prevent the soil pollution. Education on soil is necessary in schools and in public. Hence, soil scientists are required to work together closely with teachers, educationists, and civil societies. Various means of awareness creation should be adopted to create awareness in various sections of the society. Thank you, with the hope that you will adopt measures to control the soil pollution and motivate others.